In this PowerPoint, I'm going to explain and evaluate how sport contributes to global development goals. Sport development is designed to assist those already engaged in sport, such as the athlete, coaches and officials. Sport development is also used to strengthen the infrastructure of facilities and institutions in which organised sport takes place. KID 2008. Whereas sport for development refers to the use of sport as a tool for development and peace. In the area of sport and development, sport is generally understood to include physical activities that go beyond competitive sports. Incorporated into a definition of sport are all forms of physical activity that contribute to physical fitness, mental well-being and social interaction. Sport to the Development Organisation. KID 2008 suggests that Sport for Development seeks out those not already involved in sport and is unconcerned whether participants have ever been involved in organised training or competition. From a historical perspective, the origin of sport being used to aid development in countries was the British Empire introducing the colonised countries to cricket and traditional British values. Cricket was established in many countries under the rule of the British Empire, as many British people did their best to maintain social habits and customs in a state they knew when they arrived in their new homeland. Sport for empire. Therefore, cricket became a symbol of imperial solidarity and superiority, symbolising moral imperatives that both exemplified and explained imperial ambition and achievement. Mangan 2013. Cricket was a respectable gentleman's game that embodied the British virtues of strength, persistence, courage, healthy rivalries, camaraderie and sportsmanship. The sport for empire. Whilst other sports were used within the colonies, the historical development of sports such as cricket cemented cultural bond to the empire and clearly showed that people of the colonised races and ethnic groups were actively involved in making their own sporting cultures. Gower suggested that cricket was initially kept by the British for themselves and there was no apparent intention of teaching the natives to play. However, the Parsi youth boys would play cricket with makeshift bats and uneven surfaces after learning from diligent observation of English soldiers. Over the following 20 years, several Parsi cricket clubs were formed, and in 1890 a select team struck a blow in imperial pride by defeating an amateur England touring side, included the Yorkshire County Cricket Club captain. This defeat by the native colonials at the English's own game in a match of inferior status was an example of the British imperialism weakening due to the colonising countries becoming more culturalised to hegemonic cultural values, so start 1940. Jumping back into more current times, IGOs are becoming increasingly interested in the way in which sport can be used as a tool to reach personal, community, national and international development objectives, and how sport can be used as a tool for addressing some of the challenges that arise from humanitarian crises in the conflict and post-conflict settings. In recent years, UN programmes, funds and specialised agencies have increasingly recognised and harnessed the power of sport in their objectives, particularly the MDGs. Wilfried Lenk says that sport has a crucial role to play on the efforts of the UN to improve the lives of people around the world. Sport builds bridges between individuals and across communities, providing a fertile ground to sow seeds of development and peace. Sport is also an enabler of sustainable development. We recognise that the growing contribution of sport to the realisation of development and peace in its promotion of tolerance and respect and the contribution it makes to empowerment of women and young people, individuals and communities, as well as health, education and social inclusion objectives. For example, UNICEF's Sport for Development initiative uses sport to achieve crucial outcomes for children and youth, such as learning, health, empowerment and protection. Sport for Development protects people's rights to play whilst contributes towards the SDGs. This is done through collaboration between organisation partners such as FC Barcelona's Foundation to expand evidence and research into sport and development whilst focusing on improving children's lives through sport play and protection. unicef.org. Sport is used as a tool by many organisations to work in places and areas that may not be accessible to others. For example, Right to Play is an NGO that works in some of the most dangerous places on earth to promote the UN's SDGs by helping children stay in school and graduate, resist exploitation, overcome prejudice, keep themselves safe from disease and heal from harsh realities of war and abuse. They use game, sport, creative play and free play as a way to improve their 4 goals, which are giving them quality education, teaching them about gender equality, health and well-being and child protection. Through teaching and empowering children at a young age, give them the confidence and knowledge they need to rise above adversity and become positive forces of change. Right to Play explains that sport represents a significant source of potential for enhancing and even accelerating development and peace efforts worldwide, particularly those related to attaining the MDGs. Sports attributes make it a valuable component of broader holistic approaches, and reaching the 8 MDG benchmarks and now focusing on the 17 SDGs created in 2015. Right to play work for sport to be recognised as a development goal of its own right. Their unique approach uses the power of sport and play to deliver against the UN's SDGs, focusing on health, education, peace and gender. A Right to Play initiative was the girls' football tournament to promote gender equality and empowerment of women in Jordan. These girls were expected to stay at home and do housework, while the boys were out playing, learning and discovering who they wanted to be. Therefore, this tournament was created to teach girls about gender equality, opportunities, teamwork and rights they should have. The Sports for Development website 2019 picks on the point that girls don't just have to play the sport. In many cases, sport activities have shown to act as an ideal platform on which to address gender roles among children and teenagers. This is largely due to the way in which sport activities were taught. For example, a significant learning experience can derive from witnessing a female referee at a sports tournament or training with a female coach. The roles of females in such positions have shown to rely an implicit message that women do possess knowledge, leadership skills, and are also capable of familiar with male-dominated fields. Research on such programs has shown that male participation and stakeholders tend to experience an eye-opening effect when witnessing and learning from females in sport, therefore working towards the SDG 10 of reducing inequality. Another NGO is Play It Forward, who provides opportunities through education and health activities for young people in southern Zambia. Play It Forward say that they use sport for development approach as it means to achieving sustainable social change. Some ways Play It Forward works towards the SDGs are through providing health education, community school infrastructure, water, sanitation and hygiene, community football, nutrition and village banking. Play It Forward mentions that 20 of our academy players have been trained as peer educators who are going to local communities and deliver football sessions designed to educate young people about HIV and other health-related topics. They hold free community football sessions at our pitches, which are run by expert coaches, as they are strong believers that sport should be accessible to anyone and everyone. To help with SDG 2 Zero Hunger, they provide all players with daily food allowance when they come to training. We also support rural community schools with feeding programs by establishing school and community-run gardens. Moving on from NGOs to a more large-scale initiative, the International Olympic Committee created an International Day of Sport and Development and Peace in 2014. It is an annual celebration of the power of sport to derive social change, community development and foster peace and understanding. This day offers a new opportunity to promote sport and physical activity as a cost-effective and meaningful tool to address a wide range of needs related to the SDGs. It is also an opportunity to showcase all the ways the IOC cooperates extensively with partners, including national Olympic committees and numerous UN agencies, as well as GOs, IGOs and NGOs, on activity and educational initiatives which use sport as a tool for development and social change. Using sport to promote development and peace has been the core of the IOC's mission since its creation in 1894. The IOC founder was explicit in his desire to use Olympism as a means to promote harmony among individuals and nations at all levels, from casual to competitive sport. In recognition of sport's broad influence, the global theme of the IDSDP 2022 is securing a sustainable and peaceful future for all, the contribution to sport, which creates an opportunity for the day's celebration to promote the use of sport to tools to advance human rights, sustainable development. Under this theme, the UN headquarters will recognise the role of sport in addressing the climate crisis and will highlight actions to lower greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate against climate change. The IOC idea of letting developing countries host the Olympics had both positives and negatives for the country. I understand that the thought process would give the countries more jobs, more money, and let them promote themselves to other countries around the world. Modernisation theory. The Guardian states that Olympics are sold by the IOC as starstruck national leaders and offering glory of political gain. Their purpose-built stadiums, luxurious foundations, lavish hospitality and security are senseless, yet backed by the construction and security lobbies and a chorus of big public relations. For example, awarding the 2016 Games to Rio is not only an important moment in history, but also a significant part of how long-term political emergence and development of Brazil itself, Darnell 2012. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Did the Rio 2016 Olympics cause more harm than good? There were massive spending on stadiums at a time where the government could barely afford wages for doctors and teachers, and huge security presence of the protective rich foreigners at the expense of poor residents, dismal crowds that suggested more locals were uninterested in most sports, and massive inequality between the $700 a day payments to the IOC executives and the £10 a day earning of the cleaners of the Olympic Village. Watts 2017. Furthermore, Professor Trengaus said that the government and the IOC promised a lot but didn't deliver much. Martin 2017. Brazil's citizens are being hit with higher bus fares and massive claims on health and welfare budgets. Up to 500,000 people took to the streets to complain about the first world stadiums, third world schools. What's more impressive about the demonstrators that appeared not to be against sport as such, but against the extravagance of their stagings. They are talking to the language of priorities. Jenkins 2013, The Guardian. The pictures on the left show the swimming arena in 2016 and 2017. The difference in the stadium in the year is unbelievable, with windows smashed and copper wire stolen from the ceiling and walls. This raised questions about the legacy that the organisers promised the world would benefit Rio and its residents. The state of Rio is still unable to pay for its teachers, hospital workers, police and other public employees of the time, if at all. Many favelas still lack running water or proper sewage removal. The promised legacy of the Olympics achieving a safe country for all was not delivered. Amnesty International wrote that in September 2016 post-Rio report, instead of the legacy of human rights, violation endures.